What's up, guys? Good morning. How you doing? Just jumping on to do half-hour pre-market prep, have a look at what's popping. Here we go. All right, what a day on the NQ yesterday. The Fed speech come on and it just crashed. Look at that on the 2 hour. So I have my double timing lines in here with the help of a LiquiVision, and it literally, you know, those verticals suggest this is a good time for something to occur in the market, some kind of movement. It could be... Hold on, let me turn this down. Okay, it can be just momentum kicks in. It could be a top, it could be a bottom. In this case, it was kind of a top and momentum. I literally had two sitting there together. It was at the time of the FOMC speech, and yeah, that's it. Just didn't look back, did it? If you look at it, it was such an easy play on anything on the Qs or the futures. It was just a stair stepper all the way down. That's on a 3-minute chart there. All the way down. Just held it all the time. Always difficult to get in if you're on the NQs because of, you know, the volatility within one of these bars is like, you know, $500, so just one of them. So it's crazy. It's crazy volatility, but yeah, that was it. So there was on the 1 minute, on the 3 minutes, there was those two bars there. So give me an indication of, you know, this wasn't the time to get in, even though we had a buy side pull, a sell side pull. We've been doing this kind of low volatility stuff for ages. So hopefully we've got non-farm payrolls today. Hopefully we will see some follow through or, you know, big pullback, and then it's going to give us some direction, because we haven't really had direction in this channel. You know, been in this channel, and you know, it's been real tight. You can you know, you can see there's kind of movement in it always on the NQ, but it is real tight for what the NQ, the swings, the NQ that they can occur, and the trends that can occur. This is pretty much tight action day on day, crawling up there at the moment. So yeah, that is what has happened. We've had a big red day that's fallen out of the channel that we've actually been in since December. So we've been slowly grinding up, and we've just dropped out of that channel there. I've got some more timing bars coming up here. That's into next week. So we may see, you know, we should see something on non-farm, but I don't know if, if the indication is there from yesterday already, or non-farm's going to continue to drop down to the next set of moving averages. We'll see where it goes. If I was going to call a level, here, I'd be looking at something around, it's kind of aligned, to be honest. So around that 17,652 area, but I think it's going to take some time to get there, and how it gets there, we don't know at this stage. So that's the NQ. Let's look at what's popping at the moment. What we have, MDIA has been on. MDIA, what have we got here? We've got some levels here. So the benchmarks on MDIA are kind of multiple. So these benchmarks I draw in are always based off of what I'm seeing in the spreads below. So how wide these low spreads are at the bottom. And we predict these levels up based on a certain formula of where these, if they get into a program trade scenario, that they should kind of end. There's normally a daily benchmarks and intraday benchmarks. In this case, the daily benchmarks are lower than the intraday benchmarks. So we saw this on CADL yesterday. We had the intraday benchmarks and the daily benchmarks, and we actually blew out of the daily benchmarks, and we started going to the intraday benchmark. So again, it's that spread that is put in at the beginning here versus what was put in on the intraday yesterday. If we go back, there was a huge spread in pre-market here that was the all-day runner in the end. So this is the thing. We was looking, I was trying to explain how, we don't really want to try and short this. I did have one go and I scratched out of it because in the end I just thought it was a waste of time. There was nothing showing me that this was a downtrend. So I was in at this point here. I was just having a little 11, is that my time? No, yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I was in here. I was having a little tease of whether I could get short. And I didn't. I scratched out of it, and then it only went to break the sell side liquidity up to the next one. Oh no, it's this one I was in. It was this one I was trying to short. It was the very last one before the big move up. So yeah, I mean, that was it. It was a benchmark, right? And it was tapping into the benchmark, and I was like, oh, that's a very wide benchmark. I'm trying to short the very bottom of it at 285s, and literally I shorted it at 285 and covered it at 287 or something. It was like $2. Nothing lost on it, and it was just heading on up there after. But yeah, it's one of those where it's like you look back in hindsight and it's like, why didn't I buy any one of these dips? Well, there you go. And then it ramped all the way up. There was a huge gap here after that breakout. There was a huge gap between this benchmark and that benchmark, and it went guns for it. It literally really went for it. Then that was the daily one, so that's where I would have expected it to hold up, and it didn't. It went for the intraday one, which happened to be the bigger spread. Kind of acknowledged it up here, but it more or less in post market worked, accumulated at the top and then distributed off its sell side pull that was up there, which is where we're at now. So we've got two buy side liquidity pulls. One is from the whole push. One from the whole push from your kind of A to B up here. That's this one here, 422. That's aligned with the VWAP from the off, from the initial spread. The today's VWAP is currently sitting at it's there already. We're below it. 697. No, 7. Sorry, 7. The VWAP's currently at 738. So CADL is there at the moment. It's currently sitting on its 200 EMA on the 3 minute. But it's more importantly, its results. Let's get some of this off so we can see what we're talking about. Let's get that off and get that off. Leave the moving averages on. Let's drop it down to a 1 minute so we can see what's going on this morning. So this morning, late last night we've tapped into that sell side liquidity. This morning we've continued to drop off it. We're now residing in a buy side liquidity pool, which is it's from the last swing, if you like, from here to here. It's not the very last swing, it's this whole push up, and that's where we're sitting in. So what you have to be careful here is the sell side liquidity from this pool now to this low is sitting here at 855. It moves with price. They don't stay still. It's a similar like with fibs. They're very static. Liquidity pools move with the price. So the bigger the swing, kind of the closer the pool follows it down. So today, what are we seeing on CADL? At the moment, we are sitting in buy side liquidity. You can expect it to pop up to this kind of 879 area if we're backside. If we are backside. Now, if we're not backside, and literally we are still within the top third of this range, right? So we're still really front side, but the gap now to the downside is between 643 and 436. So we have to break this low at 640 and close below to continue down if this is going to fade on day two. Got to be careful. It was a really strong one. It's gone from $2 to $11 yesterday. We just need to see if this has got a day two on it or not. Don't have anything above it to draw, so it's kind of exhausted all the levels I have at the minute. So I could only work off of the pre-market lows to see if there's another benchmark in today, but I do kind of need to get on a higher time frame and bring these all over so they're not going out into the whole future here. 517 and this one as well. Did I not grab that one? All right, so that's kind of where we are. So these can be used for backside, so we just leave them there. But ultimately, we're looking to play in between the liquidity pools today. So that will be a short sell up here or a buy side where we are now. So what I'm going to look for, if I drop down to a 1 minute, just to micro manage the what's happening at the moment. So for me to get an indication of what is happening right now is we're going to have sell side here as well, so we need to watch out for that. This is what I mean about them being dynamic. So we have a sell side liquidity pool here, so we can push up to this one, come back in, push up to this one, come back in. A break of the 780 area gives us the gap to 844, 846. In the meantime, to get a clue of what is happening right now is buy side liquidity pools are holding. There's the one. The first swing, we come back to that buy side liquidity pool. This one, we come back to it here. This one, we come back to it here. So this is the current one that is holding price up. And obviously, if this fails to the bottom side, then we can assume, oops, pick the right one, third time lucky. Yeah, that we could push lower again down to 645. 645 is the area to kind of break and close below to get even lower, okay? All right, so that is CADL. So in a nutshell, that's what we are looking at the moment. We can break out of here, head up. We've got a gap between 8 and 850, 870. If we break this 925, we can start. It's possible we can go to new highs. This guy up here has still got 1015 in it and 1055. Yeah, so we're literally stacking sell side liquidity similar to buy side, but that is it. That's all you got to worry about is, are we going to grind out of this area above 750. If so, that is still very bullish. It's very bullish that it's still holding this level right now. That is CADL. FASS popped up to its benchmark area. It had a sell side liquidity pool that was drawn in. Just bring that over. So yeah, it had a run up yesterday and day before yesterday and failed. And let me just see if I can. Not really. So it had run up yesterday and failed. So today its benchmarks were sitting at 18, just 18 kind of dollars, $17, and it has literally just tapped in there. Look, let's see what happened. So small caps generally like benchmark 2s, which is the thinner of the two. Again, we've got a session and a daily. It's the thinner of the two that small caps like, but they can acknowledge the benchmark 1, and that's why you can get like a tap in and a pullback, or it works it a little bit and then it pumps to benchmark 2. Didn't make it to that 18-19 area before it decided to sell off. Now here, if we're taking yesterday's post-market lows to the highs, this is where it's kind of resting. Its resting buy side pool is. Not be able to get that, am I? Yep, that's where its resting buy side pool is. So this, so if I'm selling up here, and when I do get to this benchmark 2, I have to get I really zoom in, and I take the high to the low of that initial first rejection, and then I draw in that sell side liquidity. So, and my rule for entry is, if I'm going to get short, A, I have to see rejection at the benchmark. B, I want to pull back, so I'm not just chasing this down. I want to pull back to the sell side liquidity and foul. I want to reject twice up there, once off the benchmark and once off the sell side liquidity pool that sits here. And that's when we come off. Another confirmation is a close below these stair-stepping moving averages there. So as soon as we're under there, you can also get short as a confirmation on that, an extra confirmation. So that's kind of what I look for on FASS. So at the minute, really, the target for FASS would be right where it's at now. Okay, so that's kind of done for me. The only question is now, this sell side liquidity is deep. So there's still plenty more of it up there, but for the minute, that swing that we've had down to these lows at the minute, and again, if we go any lower, this will move. So I'd update it as the day goes on, or as the session goes on, the pre-market session goes on. So that is the sell side pool now. All right. So the question is now, if this is going to be a strong move, do we have a catalyst on it? Not really. So there is a potential for this to come down a little bit further and work its way out. There's 3 levels here. Once it's tapped into already. Twice is actually just below, so around 875, and the third one down there at 775. So all we've got to do is wait and see if these stair steppers continue to hold it and hold it on the open, then it can just continue down and fade. The volume on this thing on the 1 minute has always been below 10,000 per 1 minute. When we get a stock that pops in pre-market and it's below, when it's kind of 10,000 per 1 minute, that is a stock that can just be pre-market only. Generally, the stocks that run have more than kind of 50,000 per minute in pre-market. So this could be a job done. Need to wait and see what the open holds, and if we can, without a doubt, we need to curl around in here and push out if we've got any more on this today, right? But ultimately, that looks done to me. So when everyone comes and sees FASS is still kind of on the hot list this morning, my first thought is, well, this looks done, given the volume, given the benchmark 2, given we're already at the resting buy side pool. For me, it would have to appear on another scanner for me to show that it's pushing out of here with momentum, with money flow, for me to even think about getting long. So at the minute, if you pop to 15.5, 14.5, we would look here to see if we could get short in the first instance. If you break 16.5 and hold, then you could have 21 written on this if it goes to grab the extra liquidity, right? 19 or 21. So that's it. The options here are effectively going to be an all-day fade because of the volume. It was done. Or we are going to kind of do that anyway, and we can curl out, hit up here, and then all-day fade. On number 3, we are going to curl up here, and rather than reject, we're going to close above, pull back, and then hit a new higher effectively, or at least a retest. All right, so they're the options, but only price can tell what we've got, and we've got the setup. We are below moving averages at the moment, so there's a lot of work for this to do if it's going to get up anywhere else. So the main one is this is probably done in pre-market for this stock. ZPTA. ZPTA, again, it's got more room. It's got pre-market, or not pre-market, but post-market benchmarks and daily benchmark up here at 5. It's acknowledged the first one at 4. It popped yesterday, which was at 438, so that's kind of aligned with the post-market benchmark. And again, we're just going to look for the same thing. So that was a double kind of top into that area, into that benchmark. So all we're going to do is take the post-market lows to the highs, see where we're at. Okay, so you can see that would have been the target for ZPTA. What have we got here? Okay, so if we were shorting up here, looking for confirmation and close below 385, the target would have been 362. There's not a lot in it in the first instance. So again, we are holding up here. We've been there yesterday. This can just be, if we have it actually, if we take yesterday's high to the session low, you can see we've got sell side liquidity in here. Even if you brought it down to the post-market low, fucking let go of it. It's still there, right on pinpoint on that second level of liquidity. So let's just bring that down a tad and incorporate it all. Yeah, so that's convergence with the sell side liquidity pool and the benchmark. So it's no wonder we reacted there, but that does not mean we can't push for more. So let's take a look at the volume that we're seeing per minute. And on average, 2,000, max 11,000. Again, another stock that isn't showing huge pre-market volume. GCTS is the latest on the scanner actually. So not showing a huge amount of volume. All we do know is the initial buy side pull is holding it. All right. So again, the only thing to micro analyze on this then would be, and that's what I try and do to get an indication of whether or not these stocks hold. So from the initial high to the low, we are still up here, right? So I'm not going to draw that in again. It's still around 395. From the last swing that we went down to the last low, we're kind of trapped in that, and there's very, very low volume in this area now, right? So that's how it's working out. So currently the sell side pull held, the most recent sell side pull held, and the most recent swing high has held in its target where we was. So pretty much you've got the same thing again on this one, which is on the open. We can just melt through this and go back to new lows, or we can ideally try and get some form of backside jump into this, and we pop and drop, or we are going to, like I said, curl into this a little bit further and then work our way out. And there's potential, ooh, don't want that last one, and there's potential to go up to 440. So that's what that is. Again, you've got to watch out for that CLDL kind of look. But at the minute, the short has been done on this pre-market. We have buy side pull sitting down here, and we need to keep an eye on it if that's going to hold us up on ZBTA. HUBC has, okay, so the bogey level, that's the post-market high I've drawn in. There's a bogey level that I draw in between these two, so I basically draw a rectangle and get the 50% line, and that's what I call my bogey level, which means for some reason we are holding up at the midway point between the two benchmarks, and it can just be the high of the day, the high of the session, or it can just be a pause, then it pulls back to benchmark 1 and it goes to benchmark 2. So what do we have here? So this is a play from yesterday. So it run up yesterday. We've got new highs in pre-market this morning, so there's nothing actually kind of bearish about that, apart from the fact we've double topped into the bogey level and come off. And again, that double top into the bogey level is a nice level for a short in pre-market. It confirmed back to the sell side liquidity pool. You can confirm 159 and down to 130 is nice. What I'd be looking for on that target is the pre-market lows to the pre-market high, and that's where my target would be, where we're residing now. All right, so that is the buy side pull. So again, there's a level above up here, 2 to 230. If this pull holds, we can go down to 125 and it's still in, and then we start to work our way out of it with volume coming up on the other scanners. Then we can look to see if we can't get a push to the upside. So these shorts have been, you know, you can get 30-50 cents out of these in pre-market. The shorts have been very hard to play in the live session. They're really making you work for it. They squeeze almost, 70% of them are squeezing at the moment. So it's all to do with for me, with that volume in the pre-market. So if we're looking at what we have this morning on the 1 minute, so yeah, this one, what's the volume of HUBC at the moment? Yeah, so the difference here then is HUBC has already traded 5 million, which means it can have the projection to trade 75 million today. So let's see what we got yesterday. So yesterday traded 17 million. Okay, so we do have potential to let's see how much did we trade in yesterday's pre-market. Yesterday's pre-market was 6 million. So yesterday's pre-market, it's about the same. By the time, we've still got a long way to go in pre-market, so we're going to end up about the same on HUBC. It was 6 million yesterday. It was 6 million. It's going to be 6 million-ish today. It may be more, but at the minute, we can see that we have, what we're trading now, like 115, on average 100k per minute on this stock. So just because we've double top doesn't mean it's it. All I do know is that just like this swing held up here and we wicked into it, the same thing on this swing is possible. And that's what, for me, defines whether or not you've got more upside, is this sell side liquidity pool. We can work our way up here now. And if we push out of here, we can go from 140 to 150, 155. But if 160,000 breaks, then we can be going up and continuing, right? We've got plenty of room. And remember, just because these benchmarks are here, it doesn't necessarily mean they have to be the end of the ticker. Look at CADL yesterday. Look at CADL now, right? Look, it's worked its way outside that buy side liquidity pool, already punching for the first sell side liquidity pool here. And if 785 breaks and closes above, then we're going to try and go for 850. Okay, so that's on. That was low volume today for CADL on a second day play, but it is still moving. So, like I said, we need to confirm this 785 level. If that breaks and holds, we're off to 857. So, and now we are now we're kind of attempting that level there. Excuse me. I'm looking to check the most recent swings, right? The most recent. If that buy side pull was taken out in its entirety on that last push. So now from this point here to the high, I'm looking to see if it held another one. And it did. So if I grab this, CV that over. All right, so we tapped into the first level of liquidity. Remember, there's 3 levels in each of these boxes. I just wrap it up in a box, but there's 3 distinct levels. The more they need, the more they come and get. And this one now sits from A to B. So you can see we've just wicked up there to the round number. It needs the close above in order for this sell side liquidity to be, for it not to work and and for it to continue up. So for the moment, there we go. So 50 seconds on this close, but it looks like it's making its decision as to what it's already halfway there. So the buy side pull. So this is the one that hasn't been used yet. This one has been tacked into, but it's got more. This one has been used and is basically game over, right? But I just leave it there. So the target up here now is 850. We'll see if we make it there or not. The last pre-market high was at 812, but that normally has no relevance for me. I'm just looking for the next level of liquidity, which I expect to be up there at 850. Obviously, it's a wide one. It goes all the way to 920 because it's the whole move down. It's this whole move down. So that's what we've got for CADL. We don't know that it's over yet for CADL. There certainly looks to be some momentum. We've got 78, 80,000 on each of those 2 last 1 minute bars. So we're now above that 50,000 range. There's obviously an alert I had on there from yesterday at this level. All right, so there's the target there, 850. Hit in, so there's the gap, and it's difficult. It's difficult to know what to do on these. Sometimes I've tried to play these and just hit it as it goes because I expect the quick resolution. This normally brings in the momentum. Every time one breaks to the upside or the downside, it generally brings that momentum in quick, fast and hard. But there isn't even a consolidation play to play, right? We don't even get a red to green candle anywhere here. We literally get this one wick, which almost is a gamble at that point because you don't know that it's not just going to come down. But in any case, there's the target for the sell side liquidity pool. Now we're just looking at the volumes, and I guess this is now moving. Or did I take it up there? Yeah, see, this is moving already, and that's the key to this, is that it moves with the price. So we're crawling up there. If it goes higher, it will become higher, but the minute this could come way back down, and that would be fine. Then it's not to say there wouldn't be a trade up here, but we've got the benchmark sitting up there at 9, between 9 and 940. The whole liquidity pool goes to 920, so we've got confluence sitting up here. Whether or not we're going to work our way through it, and also whether or not we come back to grab this liquidity. So again, it worked here, it's worked here. If we come back down here now in pre-market and we go again on the open, 750s hold, kind of 740s hold. If they need that liquidity to come back and get up here to 9s, that's just bog standard normal. It's nothing we need to worry about. All we know is this is negated now. Just leave that on there so we know the momentum that come in with it and where it got to. So buy side can come down now to 765, right? So just because it's broken below these moving averages, everything else we would look for a short, it doesn't mean it's a short fade for the day or for the session. This is the key level for us at the moment, is can 740, 735 hold for another push up. Again, that's CADL. So looking at it from a higher time frame, there's nothing kind of bullish apart. So it's busting the intraday, and the daily has held. We've accumulated up here, then we've distributed some. Doesn't mean it's over. But so if you look now, this sell side liquidity pool and this one, that's what's forming your trend line. If you draw that in here. So this one you'd never have known, right? You need 2 points minimum to draw a trend line, and that would have been it. We're anticipating that with these sell side pulls. So that's pretty much it. Let's see if we get a push in to that liquidity pool, and a foul above 930 could see us going to new highs. Let me think. What else can I give you on this? No, I think that's it. There was a little push trade on there, but other than that, the CADL. So be careful for not a 2-day runner. Actually, if I just throw a VWAP on here from yesterday, where does it sit? Okay, so it's sitting. All right, so it's actually sitting down here at 428. So there's another play that can occur, right? This, we could go up to 877, foul the 650 here, and come back down to 420, 425 to this pool and work out again. So just don't trust these. If you're shorting, take your profits from either support level to support level, or take the profits at the next nearest buy side liquidity. So by that I mean, don't do that. So by that I mean, if we're up here looking for a short at 850, you target in 760. You got to take some off. Don't target all the way down to 5s at the moment, right? It's because you're going to see some form of reaction, and the best thing to do is, if price comes from here down to here and it's going to continue to fade for the day, then you're probably going to get a chance to pull back to kind of 8 for it to do it. You should be waiting for that pop to short the back, to short backside. But at the moment, let's have a look on the 3 minute. At the moment, it's not backside for this. It's still showing front side, so we'll see. But it's definitely acknowledged that liquidity pool there at 47. You're already off 20 cents off that. 25 cents now. Okay. So there is a short play now. So the long was the break of 786 up, or beautiful from the buy side liquidity pool, and now a push down to this target of 758. What else we got on? So what's TCBP happened yesterday? It faded for the rest of the day, didn't it? Yesterday, TCBP. Tiny, how you doing, mate? Yeah, CADL was a blinder, as was the NQ yesterday after that Fed speech, or during that Fed speech. Does your analysis look at post-market hit and running up to 1135 as it's nearly all-time on CADL? What's that? So the post-market hit and run up to 1135. So it kind of does. So I throw these benchmarks on. They're generally they're generally quite accurate, but the activity that goes on, there's actually two things. These benchmarks are institutional, but since COVID, the amount of retail that has, and I've done a presentation on this or a quick bit on it on the Trade the Pool presentation during the week, right? Which was to say that there's so much retail in the Nasdaq now that actually anything from chat rooms to any kind of other excitement of people getting involved can really push these levels now. And I think that's why I'm getting to see this bogey level that occurs in between two of them as well. Is that sometimes en masse those traders in the actual chat rooms are actually trading what the main trader is calling, and if there's 1,000, 2,000 people in that room on a stock that's only trading kind of 80,000 in that particular minute, it's it can do this. But yeah, but in any case, what I look for is that rejection. So if I'm looking at this post market, and I see a clear rejection level there, I'm looking to see if we can foul this, if we can hold and reject this level if I'm looking to get short. And again, that doesn't happen. But on this one, if I zoom in a little bit, if on this one, I get it. I get that push in and I get it to hold. This one, I get it. And that for me is, a lot of people are talking about change of character, but to me, that's the change of character. As soon as buy side's been holding, like we drew these before I got off stream, and everyone was holding buy side, buy side, buy side. Then it starts to really run and doesn't come back. And this was the last failure of sell side, and it kind of ripped going into the close. And again, each one of these sell sides has to, for it to continue, has to be ignored. It has to crash through it, and that's what it is. So I can do the same to the downside as well, right? So when it puts that final spread in that I'm drawing liquidity from, that first initial push up here is giving me that first initial pulse and push down. That's the initial impulse or spread, the initial spread, and that's the level. See how that aligns? Let's make these yellow. Right, so see, let me take everything off. All right, so if I'm just taking this impulse swing, you can see here that we hold that sell side even on a micro level at 11, but then you can see, and again, this is what my whole ethos is about. It's about trading. It's about trading that gap, right? To me, this is the manipulation zone up here. They can accumulate, they can put patterns in similar to what they have here, but ultimately, if we break below that, we're going to the benchmark, and that benchmark is aligned with the buy side liquidity pool at that point. So now, yes, we can come all the way down to 4, benchmark 2 on the downside, which is aligned with the lower the lower resting buy side liquidity pool from the whole move. So that's kind of how I play it. But just to keep it easy, I'm just drawing visible swing highs, and just pulling it down to the visible swing lows. And if we pull back to it, there's a short opportunity there, and vice versa on the buy side. Yeah, there's some nice news on CADL, so that helps. That's why I think it could be a 2-day play today. So you're going late in the day as in the long side or short side, Tony? So if you look at CADL now, it's acknowledged that first level, has come back, but it hasn't come back to the buy side before it's pushed a new high. Okay, so this is left down there. It's still like both of these, it hasn't needed to come back to and doesn't want to before it starts to push. Benchmark up there at 9 to 940. It's just pushed further into there, but now I can draw. Depending on where this goes to right now, it could push harder. Let me see if I've got any pre-market flow on here. It could push harder, but at the minute if that was to remain the high, you've now got a pull sitting just tacked behind it, so there, and that will move up. All right, so the key now is there's the benchmark at 940. How far can this? If it starts to break 960 and close, this could be another good day for CADL. Yeah, so now let's see if that pulls back into the 830 area. No worries, you got it, Tiny. No probs. So what else we got? There was a GCTS. I don't know what that's got on it. Let's have a quick look. GCTS. All right, so GCTS, like even on the 1 minute, we can see that it's. If I go to the 30-minute, this stock has just been. Is it IPO? No, it was a pump, and it was a crash. So it was from $6 to 56, man. So yeah, if I was looking at what was happening here, it would be down at this level on these 2 days. It put in a really decent spread. And I would literally look to see where that is, and I turn boil off. And again, that's the gap I'm looking to play. I just want to trade that gap. I want to take it from as it breaks out and closes above the manipulation zone at 18s. I just want to take it to 42, or whatever it does after that. That's the gap I'm trying to play. And the same thing. So that's the kind of zoomed out analysis, but if I look at GCTS today on the 1 minute, then let's have a look. Then there's 2 areas that I'd be looking at. I can look at this one down here and say, yeah, I got you. This one, where's that going to be? Benchmark 2. That's where we've tapped into today. Again, the gap play, that's the safe area to play, and it's just been coming off that basically. So the safe play is from 5 to 650, and then today we've gone benchmark 2 in pre-market, but this is one that's kind of done its job. But the spread resonates. It's a very, very similar spread no matter what. Even if I take yesterday's post-market lows and bring it up, that's where you're still doing it again. You could have traded 624 this morning and closed it out at 721. All right, it went and tried for that benchmark 2 again, but again, that's where I put that bogey level in, because sometimes that's how it rolls at the minute. I don't know, it just seems to be toying with it. And then if I'm looking for a target on that move, I'm bringing that up and I'm saying, okay, that'd be my target there at 650, or the midpoint 634. But so as you can see, even though GCTS was on the scanner, it seems pretty done to me. It's like one and done in pre-market, and it's kind of below that level now, right? If I take it right up, wow, all right, it's still there, but it's definitely tested it. But that would be my resting liquidity pool, and it would have to do some serious work to get out of it. What's the volume on the 1 minute? So you had one bar above 50k. The rest are all kind of averaging around 12,000 per minute. So that's a low volume stock. So this is one that has the potential to fade for the rest of the day. If GCTS gets a pop, wow, I don't think it will do that pop. So there's a pop up there. If it gets a pop to 775.8, that could be a little bit, or not a textbook bull trap, but it could be a bull trap. If I come into the micros, in the first instance, it's, yeah, I mean, you don't really have to draw it in. It's going to be the top of a close out of 650. That's the micro level there. So we could pop to 650 and drop because it's such a low volume stock. But again, I'll just look for it. It's in the buy side pool. If I get money flow on the scanner, it starts shouting at me and it closes above 660, then there's a gap to 773. All right, so I'm going to draw a benchmark. Actually, where was that from? I was doing that from back here, just so I know there was a benchmark if I go look back at it later. Yeah. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. Yeah, so I know I've tapped into a benchmark 2 this morning. I've got a liquidity pool up there if it can push higher, which it's trying to do now. Look, there we go. So we're just breaking out of that sell side liquidity pool now. If we can break and close out of it, then it could push. It could push, but that is on low volume, so I would expect this to just wick back down. But we'll see what it does. GCTS on the watch. Yeah, there's kind of not a day at the minute. It's kind of every other day Hollow picks up in the scanner, but it is just let's have a look. What have we got today? Yeah, this is no volume on this for pre-market 2000, and plus, yeah, it's kind of failed its sell side, so that's another day to short pops for me. Look, that was the intraday benchmark from yesterday. There was one above it, it didn't go to it. Failed sell side, most recent one. If I take the whole lot, on Hollow, we're looking at 340. Yeah, this is the one I would take on that. You could go to the high. It would make it a little bit wider. Prefer the first one for me. Yeah, so not a great deal in Hollow, unless it is going to kind of come in and get down to 340, 330 and work its way out again. I do feel that like we should be shorting backside here. So anything, even without drawing anything, just as simple as this 55 EMA that's coming down here. Any pullbacks into that in a minute, I think would be sold off. The sell side pull, if you are interested on Hollow, is going to be sitting up at there we go. So that's where it is. This guy's done, right? So you can ignore that. As soon as they come and take this liquidity out, it's not about breaking it. It's just about as soon as they tap into that liquidity and use it all, it's effectively done. Yeah, the only thing I like, the thing I like about fibs, or when people use that golden zone or whatever it is between 50 and 60 or something like that, is that's fixed. It's not dynamic. Fibs don't move with price, because you can keep redrawing fibs, don't get me wrong, but this is not a fib. So I get this quite a lot, and that might be where you're kind of going with it. Is, let me think, if let me just draw it in this space here, because this is a question I get, right? So if I get a high right, let's just say I take a low to a high, all right? So in that mind, price has just kind of been working its way. Price has been working its way up. Now, if you're cutting a fib on this, like let's just say 50%, right? So if you cut a 50% fib, so there's the 50% in the middle there, right? I'll mark that up a different colour for the sec. Right, so there's your 50%. So there is a point at which, if I'm taking this low, like I do, to this high, that the liquidity pool could exist around that level. So in this case, it doesn't. It exists at $4, let's say $4. And let's just use the top level. It's at 402. Okay. Now, with your fib, okay, the difference is, if this was such an aggressive move from A to B, all right, the price action went, way. So the numbers are still the same and the 50% is still the same, but the liquidity pool would no longer reside at 402. It would reside at 397. Obviously, we're dealing with a really tight price range. It would reside at 397. But the more aggressive that trend is, and especially when we're doing this over time, not in such a short squat period, you know, if that was like a move up that we had down off the NASDAQ, then this is going to almost come lower at 397. It's now at 389. So that's what the fibs don't catch, is they don't take into account the speed, which is this is representing the speed of the tape effectively. So, and the same goes if this was a, you know, you get the point, right? If this is meandering, if this price takes forever to get from the low to the high, then, you know, it's going to end up being all the way over there up at 405. But in this squat area, it's like if you come out to the, let's get rid of all that. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, so let's get rid of all that. But the difference, if we look at CADL, for example, on a kind of 10 minute, let's say, yeah, that's the difference between then a fib being at 50%, let's say, up here, 50% fib, but because that was so aggressive, the buy side liquidity pool is actually down at 430, not at 660. That's where it makes a hell of a difference. And that's the bit where you don't, where you're going to say, well, okay, well then I'm going to wait for a 61.8 or a 72 or whatever it is, a 76. Then that's it. But you don't know, right? You never know which one. You never know kind of which one to trade. But that's kind of the difference there when you go looking at the fib. So what's happening now? I think we're still working off of that level, right? We've just broke below the micro level there of the buy side. So this one's finished. So you've got your double bottom here, but I anticipate to get down to kind of 759 now on that push down. And again, that doesn't mean it's the high of day. And that's what I think gets to feel like, is people look for a short sell, right? If this happens to be a flush, if these, you put these 4 or 5 candles together and it looks like, you know, what people refer to as a death candle, people think that's it and done for the day. Whereas it isn't. You can get a flush right down to the buy side liquidity pool and it just buys it up and comes right back at you for new highs, as we did yesterday. Yeah, as we did yesterday, because it was just literally where there was a beautiful flush. Look, this one here, I mean, they flushed down to every one. Look at that flush. It just flushed right down, and I was thinking, God, I was literally saying on stream, I want to short this. I feel like I want to short this. And it flushed down, but just took out the lower side liquidity in one candle and then come all the way back up. And then bang, it's just like, it feels like it's done for the day, but it's just coming back to catch that liquidity. Yeah, that's it, Tiny. Yeah. The quicker the up, not the more. It's the quicker the up move, the more, the lower the more the pullback is. No worries, man. You got it. Yeah, so that is it. So what else have I got coming on here? If I'm looking at the so that's the what's XXII? I haven't looked at that, but it seems to be right at the top of the list on some of these. 22nd century group. Oh well, that's done. So let's see where that was yesterday. Actually, is there anything prior? Oh, stock split though. Be careful. Be careful on this one. That might be a little bear trap there. Yeah. So so we are coming off of this little level here. Right, so that's what I'm talking about on the push, on the open, and the excitement. For me, that benchmark institutionally was at 260. That was the post market. It ran off this morning. So then, I'm kind of saying, well, okay, well, what, why did it do that? And my guess is it's going to go to a benchmark 1 off of the post market low here just before it did it. Yeah, and that's it. So yeah, you can't, even though for me that's the institutional high. It can do it again, and it more or less is. A lot of the time, it's almost an exact double of that move again, and you just plonk it on top, and it does it again. So, yeah, and obviously somewhere in the middle. So, yeah, that's clearly a done deal for XXII. That would have been a beautiful one this morning, though. Yeah, so you can see that would have been my target effectively. Buy side pull, that would have been the target there. So yeah, the nicest one I would have gone for, where I would have covered, would have been 194. But that was a super quick play, Super quick play. Nothing really for confirmation on that. The only other time I could have shorted the pop on that, which I wouldn't have done because it was working its way out of the buy side liquidity pool, would have been this colour change. But that is the nice short. So, yeah, any of those colour changes plays, you get into that 55 moving average. I think you can take on that. So, yeah, we'll leave that off the watch now and assume that is done down at the it's back to where it came from, unless it starts making a noise. So what have I got? So I've done FAS, just to recap those. So NKL I didn't look at this morning because it's at 95, and I don't really see. So we didn't come back for this one. And this one is playing off, well, even if we did take the aftermarket low, yeah, still got, yeah, so there's 95, we're at 97, I've got no interest in that. FAS, that's the one we mentioned was on what volume? Yeah, it's on low volume, so I'm expecting this one to follow this one, right, so on the open to... I think it's going to be this one, but if it gets to 15, I think that would be a pop to short. ZPTA is the other one out there. Again, hit a benchmark, hit a sell side liquidity pull, come off. That's the best I'll go for. 355 to 364 and 355 in terms of targets. Now I'm just waiting to see if this holds, right? Because this is the area that can hold for a trade that wants to run higher. The new area, that's finished. The new area is going to be from that print there down to, yeah, so the new sell side, you've now got to break 377 to get any higher. Sell side, you've got to break 377 to get any higher than that today. So this is either a pop to short if it comes round, right? So if this pops on the open, can't get above that 380 and starts to reject off, then you can come back down to kind of the lowest level. There'll be about 30 cents in that. Where else did it come from? Yeah, no, I don't think there'll be a lot else in that other than about 340s. To the upside, if you break 380, then there can be, because I have lot of levels above it. Okay, so this is what catalyst we've got on this. Anything? No, just sector updates. HUBC is right. This is one that you could watch out for, because on the daily, is this a stock split? Yeah, like this is a stock split, right? Back a couple of months ago, but nevertheless, we're under the dollar. Yeah, these stocks don't like being. They've got to get above $1 in that 180 days. So this is a daily play for me, right? That daily play off of this initial unusual volume. I'm happy for it to come back and come back. This is my small cap breakers strategy, right? It's completely different to these things I do on Trade the Pool and try and short day one stocks, which is something I don't normally do, by the way. So this is kind of coming into these levels, and I'm happy for it to fade and fade and fade. I like to see it fade. I would prefer to see a little bit more sideways action, which we may get yet, but this is the manipulation zone, and this is the gap. So the gap's from 130 to 190 or $2, and then ultimately we've got a mix here of kind of intraday and daily. Well, we could get up to 325 on that benchmark 2 that's sitting up there. Is there one above it? Yeah, okay. So there's the dailies and the intradays. So that's the difference, right? It's just, but in the first instance, ultimately, I think 325 for this stock. So on the daily, you can see it punched up to the top side of the manipulation zone or the accumulation zone, but it hasn't accumulated. It's just done it in one hit. Huge volume on that day, higher than what it was on the unusual volume day. So then now if I come down to look at the 2 minute, what am I doing? With pre-market post and pre-market volume come out of the manipulation zone, and the first buy side liquidity pool has held. The only issue you've got now is from this high to this low, we've got a sell side liquidity pool, right? Now, like I say, I draw these boxes on all the time, but at some time when the setup occurs, you have to have that bias. You have to assume that one's going to break. So at the moment, yes, your sell side pool has been acknowledged, but if you come down, and this has all been used up because it went to the bottom. Let's just zoom in. So the next one we're coming from, I'm going to draw the bigger level rather than the, there's one here where it's at right now. Okay. So there's one there, but there's going to be two. So I'm going to draw the wider one. So it's going to be just above, I think. So I'm going to join the two here, just because they're so close together. So I'm just going to make it a little bit right. So I'm just going to go right. There's two there that you could use, but it's just stacking a little bit higher than this one effectively. But if this one now holds, and we call, well, there's a tap into the first one there. If this now holds, that's probably going to be like the best execution you're going to get, with a stop below, let's say 123. You're getting in around 140s, but you're actually looking for $2, $3 on that play. So that's the best risk reward you can get. But you have to anticipate that today you're going to bust 160. Now the volume is 258k. Oh, let's put it. That's not. I'm going to do it on minutes. The volume on average is kind of 80 to 100k, and that's decent volume. That's volume for a stock that can pump a little more today. Gotcha, Tiny. Yeah, so we've just popped into it. And it's that's why it's a difficult one. This is the area we should be getting in, anticipating longs, because really if it's one and done in pre-market and it's not going to come back, it's going to break this level. The fact that this level holds is the first indication in pre-market that you could go higher. If it holds again, even more so. But like I said, this is the level that is the best risk reward. So you're going to think, right, well actually If it does that again, I'm going to take it and I get in at the 140s or the 130s and risk just below. You're risking like 10 cents. And then I'm anticipating it goes. And if it doesn't go and it doesn't break, then you can either take a partial off between like 140 and 150, or you just take the hit. But ultimately, you can't get into these good risk reward plays without anticipating the break of the sell side liquidity, if you get what. That's where I'm coming from. All right. So, and the other ones, did I do MDIA? Yeah, so MDIA is a benchmark 1 play. There's a benchmark 2 sitting up there at 640. Now, didn't draw this in. And this is what I'm talking about on those fibs. The speed of the tape that comes up here means that that's going to be a deep, deep pullback to rest. Now, that does not, again, mean it's over. It just means that the buy side pull was lower because of the speed of the move. And we've only tapped into the middle area, which actually is down here at 225, right? And so that's just TradingView's center. I don't know if you could. Can you see that on there? Oh, okay. If I draw it perfectly. Okay, yeah. TradingView's level comes in the center of the rectangle. Mine's actually lower. It's just slightly lower. It's more like 2/3 of that rectangle. But in any case, it's splitting hairs. So we've come into this level, held. We can come all the way down to 217 and still be good for a push up. Where is the 50%? If you're just looking at the whole move from yesterday's low, we're below the 50%, but like I said, I don't really count for that. My interest is in the buy side liquidity pool. Now, the nice thing this morning is, while this would have been very, very nice if I was around here earlier, would have been that this give me my textbook play from benchmark 1. So again, I much prefer a benchmark 2 in pre-market, as this has oh no, it's not bad on the volume, but we did have 90 average of like 80k on this run up, which I prefer to see it lower than 50. But that's it. So it was a push up, a push down. There's your rejection of that sell side liquidity. So as soon as you go green to red on that, you're shorting at about 390s with the target down there at 250s. So that was a nice MDIA, but like I said, so just because it's screaming up, and the second you got HUBC, MDIA, CADL all on the scanners, XXII all on the scanners, where all of them pretty much, apart from CADL, is it? So CADL hasn't come back down for this liquidity yet. HUBC has room. So HUBC is on the scan, and that's the difference between any of the others, is that they've all hit a bench. They're on the scanner, but they've all hit a benchmark. So in terms of stock selection, hit a benchmark on FAAS. ZPTA hit a benchmark and has come off. There is another one, but it hit the benchmark and come off. Whereas HUBC is the one that seems to me, it hasn't hit a benchmark and is the top scanner. It's the top volume with 8 million today. It's got insider, it's got 30% insider ownership. I'm just looking for institutional, if I can grab it. Come on, HUBC. Institutional ownership of just under 4.5%, which is pretty big, to be honest. Institutional ownership at 5% of HUBC is pretty big. So 35% of this stock is owned by institution and insiders. The price and this is the other key thing, right? The price is currently sitting at 140, but look if that was to be the high of day today, where its resting liquidity pool would be between 88 and $1.10. That's not enough to keep it in the Nasdaq. HUBC needs to rest at kind of 160s. So in order to rest at kind of 160s, let's get this on a. In order to rest at 160s, if the stock then went up today, up to, I don't know, 327 or whatever, are we going to get it? Yeah, so it's resting at 160, lows of 116. At least that's going to keep it up to the dollar, but it's got to push that higher to have a resting pool higher than $1. What is my... Yeah, I think so. I'm just going to add some extra columns to this guy. I don't know why I'm not seeing. Where's my float? So float, add columns, add, there we go. I don't know why that fell off. Okay. Plus it's a 10 million, it's just a 10 million float. It's not like it's not micro, but 10 million is still low. Caddle's 22 million. MDIA is 4 million. So if HUBC has got a 9 million float, actually, why bother to calculate it out? Let's just add it. Add this as well. So configuring columns, more float rotation, add columns, add. All right. It's already had an 80% of its float today, HUBC. MDIA has already rotated 1.2. So when you have over 100% float rotation in pre-market already, that's a red flag for shorts. Okay, so you can see there we've tapped into it, we've gone back to it. This is going to be key. A 160 break, you're going to fill that gap. You've got a clear area there to go on HUBC. What else we got? Let's get the little stock cars up here because I don't know why these are running. I've got to look at. This is still working, is it? Right, did that move? Nah. No, let's do another stock race there, a little bit more. Let's see what we've got going. Trouble is this time of day, it's just a little bit earlier. The early bird session is where we catch these guys. It's where we catch these guys out. I'm really not loving in-session shorts at the moment. They just are hard work. They're taking their time. They're happening around 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, so it's kind of a late day fade. There don't seem to be very many working out in that first hour of the market open. They're either doing it in pre-market like this, drop. GCTS, another one there, drop. That's the one you want to play. So GCTS has worked out of its most recent sell side and its buy side liquidity. Insider ownership of 31. I want institutional on this as well. Configure column. All right, let's get this in institutional. Held by institutions. Add. All right. There we go. So GCTS. So again, GCTS. God, that's almost like exactly the same as HUBC. GCTS is 31% held by insiders, 6% held by institutions. The 37% of that stock is held by non-retail investors or householders, they call it in the US. So it only has volume today of 700,000 compared to those others like HUBC of 8 million, 5 million. You can see that, right? Yeah. HUBC at 8 million, MDO at 5, CADO at 4 still, and that's a second day play. So yeah, those ones that you want to kind of get. Let's see what happened. Let's see if plug popped and dropped this morning. It was just a drop this morning. It wasn't. It was a post market, so it was a gap up and then a drop. Plug, but yeah, those. Yeah, there's not too much I can say on plug, to be honest. What about SOUN? That's an AI play. So the AI play. Don't know how far that went. Whether it called it or not. Yeah, so the AI play. And to do this, you've really got to be looking at these stocks, right? It's you have to be looking at the post market in order to anticipate. Yeah, this is something I've got to look for in pre-market. So this was, a pump up yesterday, a drop off in the afternoon, and taking that high to the post market low. This is not to do about benchmarks, but you could draw the benchmarks in and get some form of confluence. So there's the benchmark there. It pops to the sell side liquidity, not interested in benchmark 2, and it drops off. And it drops off from 560 to the resting buy side liquidity pool, which is sitting there at 535. So again, that's my safe target. Say, right, if I'm going to short up here at 558 rejection or the close at 552, my target is no more than 537 pre-market. That would be it. That would be the gap to play. So what else have I got here? Right. So top shortlist currently just given by where they've been, where they've come from, where they are at now. The top shortlist that shorts will be looking at today is Cattle, MDAI, EJH and HWH. HWH was yesterday. Yeah, so this is backside. This is backside. So if I'm looking at this today at backside, let's take the high post market and the low. So these are kind of the short plays. Sell side. And this is the short I'd rather take, right? If you're thinking where has that come from? I think it's already at its buy side liquidity actually. Yeah. Well, listen, you never know So if I'm looking at this then, so yeah, rather than shorting day one, I'd much rather see like on the 5 minute, and this is like the traditional kind of bell curve that you do get normally over 2 days. It's normally like this can last to us a pre-market play, but if you get another pop, for example, across here, there's 2 areas I'd look to short. A pop to kind of 210, 215 to short. That's got a much higher probability than trying to short day one in the session. So yeah, the day two has always got a higher probability. Confirmation that it's backside under the moving averages on a 5 minute. Then you can see. So I think there'll be, just as there was here, there'll be interest here to short. On the open, I just like it to pop up a little bit more to short. But same as ever, if 220 fails and closes above, then the better short is sitting up higher here. That's HWH and EJH. I'm drawing this one out. Let's have a look at higher time frame. Yuck, it's a bit ugly. Daily. So a split in February. $2.80. Oh no. Well, it's a similar thing, but it's not, is it? So I draw this in, but we're already posted pre-market. In pre-market, I am literally at what? Bogey level, sitting in there at 250. So EJH. Oh, we are at the boat. Let's drop down to 2 minutes here. Oh, we've done it pre-market. All right. Okay. I'm drawing it on the daily. I keep forgetting it doesn't show the pre-market price action. So straight through the bogey level. Oh man, never mind. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for, is that first swing. The test of that first swing, you can bring it down. Sometimes it'll poke above. The first swing, the first impulse wave down, that's the pullback. There's the short on now from kind of 270 down to 250s. This has got... so the first one already hit, if you was being aggressive on that one. That already hit to its full extent. And this latest one is sitting there. So even though we've hit a benchmark 2, this can go supernova. Okay, so it's nothing to say it can't go supernova. To get an indication of whether it could do, I'm looking at the daily volume, the 1 minute volume, 1 minute volume. And on average it's at 4,000, so probably not. That is probably a pre-market benchmark 2 that's going to fade for the session, but we'll see. It has to break a buy-side liquidity pool though, and it hasn't done so yet. So for me, an uptrend continues to exist, all the while the buy-side pools hold. You want to pop to short on this in anticipation of a buy-side failing. You're up there at about 265, 270. All right. So what would be nice for a bigger kind of, rather than wait for 230 to 240 to crack, and then we're looking, actually, where is the overall? That would be helpful, wouldn't it? Okay, so I'm going to take day before yesterday. Template, buy side. Okay, so, and this is what I'm talking about anticipating. If we're taking benchmark 2 and we think that's done. Like for me, that's the 80-20 rule. It's either, you know, if 20% of these small caps go supernova, which it isn't 20%, but the benchmark has a higher benchmark 2 has a very high percentage chance of holding unless the stock is going to go from 2 to 20 kind of thing. So in that case, because I've double topped out and got textbook kind of short entry at benchmark 2 on EJH, my preference then today on EJH would be a pop on the open to 265, 270 in order to short and anticipate the break of 240 to get down to 2. That would be EJH for me. Obviously, always need to consider that if the opposite happens, that you can go supernova. Okay, that's just should be a smaller percentage chance of doing that, but that'd be the preference anyway. So what else have I got? So penny stocks up most in the last 5 days. Let's have a look at this one. I'm going to bring that one over for you. You see that? Let's just save me going typing these all out, see where they're at. So let's change this time frame. I'll have a look at the 10 minutes, see if we can't see what's going on. So EVC, no, we're going to look at something a little bit bigger because that's not telling me whether it's have a look at the hourly. All right, actually the daily on this, okay, 188, that's 188. All right, so EVC is testing the gap high. So obviously the gap low up there at 358. But you know, from the lows, this has had, you know, a few consecutive up days in the last 5 days. Whether or not it's got enough to close that gap, I don't know, but 188 is a level to come into. What I'm really looking for here on the daily is a first red day. Now you've got one there, but I don't like that rejection. HYMC, there's a first red day. Let's have a look at that. That's a first red day already, isn't it, on the 3 hour here? Although I actually like that for longer legs. 1 second. It's a split. Benchmark 1. Benchmark 2 up there. And there's plenty more where that came from to the upside. I can tell you it's oh damn. Okay. So this is the sort of thing I mean, right? It's just, so stock split. There's a reason we do a stock split. It's to get the stock from away from that territory like that it doesn't like to be at, where it could like break down to under $1. And if you take in any one of these swings where this holds, that obviously is a more uncomfortable level. Whereas now, if you go from this one to this one, and this goes higher and higher, now it's got a decent, you know, that's a decent resting liquidity pool. Now, being a stock split, these can surge much higher, but we are over 3 months away from that stock split now. But we've definitely got a benchmark play on this, and we've got a first red day by the looks of it. So a lot of traders, a lot of short traders like this play. A lot of traders like this play. And I'm not convinced this has not got more upside though. Yeah, okay. So it's a first red day in a benchmark. So we, you know, at the end of the day, it's a pretty good level to see a first red day. If we are looking at what it's got on the downside, we need to know if this sweep up caught. Yes, it did. So now we can use that. Bring this guy up. So now for today, as a target, oops. Buy side, where are you? Okay. So that's the benchmark. Let's drop down here and we'll see what we've got on the lower time frames now, because that's come right off. Is that 5 minute? So now, just the simplest of all simplest strategies here. A pullback to the 55s or the 200. So anywhere around 340, 350 to short. If we're looking at what happened at the benchmark to give us our day one first red day, that's what we need. So it gave us and used up the whole sell side liquidity at the top there. So there's the sell side. That's what's given us our push down. Now is the case to see how many of these have we done and how many could you have got in on. So there's one. There's two. This one also would have worked over the 3. And then this one, no. So here is your current pull. So you're currently in there at 340, 350. So on a first red day play, I am liking HYMC to pop up to 350 and drop, and we're hoping that drop continues then down to 250. But be careful of 260 because it's first level of liquidity there. So that's what I would go with, and any pops along the way to these moving averages as it kind of catches up. That's what I would go with on that. So it's a first red day HYMC, first red day W, give it a first red day. So that's a nice one to watch. FAS and GSITs, look at FAS. No, FAS I don't like. FAS is something that I would look at actually more on the long side right now, given that higher volume there and a second volume day here. I'd be looking for that on other scanners. FAS, GSIT. Okay, so GSIT is interesting. GSIT is interesting. Let's have a look. Daily, weekly, right, daily. Okay, so a big pump up to the 980s, kind of double topping around the 7s. What else have we got before that? Okay, so let's see if this was one and done on the day. Yeah, so just off 9.98. So $10 was benchmark 2. It's just off. I mean, you can argue that I can bring that in and do that, but whatever. It's just off the benchmark 2 there, up at $10, and has come all the way back down. So if I'm taking that in there now, and that aggressive push up even to the highs, you're in that buy side liquidity pool. Yeah, a bit below it, but it's worked its way above it now. So that's on the daily. So that was a nice move from 160 to best part of $10. Now on the daily is how far has it got to go? Oh, okay. So I was going to say I like that. across benchmark. Right now, if I'm doing the whole lot, I'm going to take it to the low here. Now this is why a bogey level would make sense to me, because I've got a liquidity pool in the middle of it. Okay, so if I were to kind of bust higher a little bit, I do have liquidity pool up here, so that would be, the middle of that is aligned with my kind of bogey level that I normally just throw in there. And I go, yeah, that's my bogey level. In this case, it's the middle of a liquidity pool as well. But if I drop this down, then we are just touching the inside of the benchmark, and on the smaller kind of time frame, we are at the bogey level because 626. So we have a benchmark on benchmark up here, and a bogey level is where we are pretty much at, which is 50% in between there. All right, so the question is it over? And then what we say, I'm determining trend. So buy side liquidity holds, come across up to that high. Buy side liquidity holds at 513. Most recent one. Buy side liquidity is holding. So actually there's no reason to short this stock right now. Buy side pools are in control. The most recent sell side pool, all right, so we've just tapped into it. So on the 5 minute, sketchy volume at the moment. But on the 5 minute, we have a push up to sell side, and buy side is working. If we close above 590, we can push higher on this stock. It doesn't mean it's game over. All we have is a kind of candlestick on the daily that looks like that. Okay, so it has taken out highs. It's pushed up, it's come back down. So a round number, well, was it a round number? We're now above the $5. So the only thing we can do really here is wait and see, right? Because this is still on the front side. On the 5 minute, we're still above these moving averages. We haven't curled over. And what we look for on these small caps over a number of days is literally the bell curve, right? We're just looking for it to kind of go like that over a couple of days, and then come back down pretty much to where it come from. Not all the way down, but most of the way down. So that could be it, but at the minute a little bit too early. But the key level at the moment for us is 590 to hold on GSI. So it's not quite the first red day, but we'll keep an eye on GSIT. BIF. Right, a daily. Right, so that we can see is going to be a sell side. Oh no, it's not. Sell side's a little bit higher, but you're gonna. Oh, let's get this back up. So no splits. Is this lows? Yes, it is lows. Okay, benchmark. Topped into a benchmark there. There'll be another one above. All right, so there you go. Smaller time frame, what have I got? So yesterday's move up using first level of buy side. Did we get out there? Yeah. So we've been up there to the benchmark, right? So this could be backside play. It could be an attempt at getting a new high and it fails. So sell side. All right. No worries. Hi, Lion. Hey, Lion. Yeah, it's called LiquiVision, as in the name of the channel. So, yeah, you can go and check that out at liquivision.trades. It's just in the process of setting up some things, the Discord, and that is coming. And yeah, obviously I'm over on Tradecaster as well. So, just trying to get the licensing, protection all kind of done, and showing people how to use it more or less. So this is just try and rinse and repeat for everyone to try and get some understanding, as opposed to looking left all the time and making sure that you know, that we're kind of aligned with what's going on in the institutional world. So here we have the buy side liquidity pool and the sell side liquidity pool. A close above 290, let's say, can see a retest of the high. You have a whole bunch of gear above it. We've only gone into the top first benchmark at 355. 570s is possible, but this is, for me, a backside push. So we had 1, 2, another attempt. What's the volume telling us? The volume is telling us that this push up here was, let's grab some of this. $2 million. This push is negligible, right? Volume wise. But small caps are small caps. It doesn't mean they can't build up that volume. But BIAF is for today. If we can get some actual volume out of BIAF, if the liquidity stays scattered as it is, I wouldn't bother. If they're just seeing prints and not candles, I'd stay away from it. But that is what I think. So I think you've got a 280 play to 230 for 50 cents, and you never know. You might come all the way down to $2. Else, be careful. If you close above and come back, you can supernova to, well, no, it won't, not supernova actually. Supernova is above benchmark 2 for me, but you can go to $6 on this 580. All right, I think that's about enough pre-market time. It's 1:15, so I am going to take a break unless anyone else has got anything they want me to look at this morning for you. I did want to play some card chasing games, but there's no volume in it. It's just, I'll show you what I mean by that. It's, where are you? Say new, do a new race. And let's go. Have we got pre-market momentum? Play. So that'd be I've just started a new race. Just started a new race there. If I bring this over, can I bring this over for you and get it in? Yeah. So at the minute, these tickers are all in low floats. They are all in the race. The race lasts 10 minutes. And what we want to do is, from the upside, see who has the best upside in that 10 minutes. It's actually quite a good little tool to, I've got a similar one here on relative volume that runs across all kind of stocks. So it's looking, that's interesting to see what PayPal is up there. Don't normally see those sort of stocks on here. Wow. Relative downside volume on PayPal. That's got to catch up in the crypto space at some point. PayPal, please. So like MDIA is leading the race, followed by EIGR. These will change as they start to move. So if we're looking at MDIA, MDIA we can now see is working out of or is attempted to take the whole bottom of the buy side liquidity, and that is that push coming out. So there's a little bit more volume that's caused that to push up. EIGR, I thought that was a ticker from yesterday. So EIGR is also pushing up. EIGR had more on it. In the close, it tapped into benchmark 2 and come back. Its last swing in. Yeah, there's one. The next one didn't do, so take it up to the top. So in pre-market, our indication is buy side is holding, right? That's fine. So we know we've got a benchmark. This is benchmark 1 up there in yellow at 340 higher. If we are going to get higher, you must break 280. And that's the first indication, right, of regardless of the benchmark, if you break 280, yes, you've got a double top to contend with 287, but generally you can see momentum coming in here for 50 cents or more. So more being up to 455, yeah, 450, 480. So that's EIGR. We did have that somewhere on my watch, so it's going to be a case of dragging that down, I think. That's all right. See, Tara's gone up there with NXL now, so you could keep this game all day long in pre-market. What is Tara? What's going on with Tara? So Tara jumped up, it pulled back. If we're looking at yesterday's kind of spread on the day, it went to benchmark 2 up there at 620 this morning. And its target was, it's got a lower target. So it's a buy side. It's got a target down there resting at 4s. Nothing else to do on Tara apart from say that the volume on the 1 minute. Oh, it's pretty. I tell you what, that's more nice bet. No, it's above 50s. So when it's above that 50k kind of mark, like consistently, what we're at now, we're still above 50k. We're not on these very last lows. We're down at 18, but we have to be careful on that. So NXL just taken over to Tara. So key level to break. Remember, that is benchmark 2 in any case of the daily. So that could be the session high. But if you can get a cheeky push up out of here on the open, there'd be space, wouldn't there? 6 to 440. That would be nice. Else, watch out for the break of 620, because then you've got a chance of going supernova, because that is benchmark 2. Don't think we've got a lot else on the date. Oh, no, we have. Oh, no, we have. No, it's a daily benchmark 2 as well, up there at 650. So that is aligned with the, I've just lost LiquiVision. Yeah, Tiny, it is actually. But what? So the software's available, but at the minute it's only available on kind of like a one-off kind of thing. The license is only a one-off or an annual thing. So it's not. The licensing isn't set up for like weekly, monthly, all that stuff. I can do it through places like WAP and that, but it doesn't give you the security on the. It doesn't give you the protection that I want. So yeah, it's available on there, and also the kind of support side of it isn't up and running yet. So obviously, I need to do. There's a whole bunch of strategies that go with this. Actually, just to in case you wasn't on earlier. One of the strategies that this thing does, actually I need to grab another one and put it on my screen because I just lost one. There we go. Yeah, so there's numerous strategies that this thing does, and and one of them is kind of, let's just get it on a higher time frame. Oh, what is that? Get that off, man. Is one of, you see these blue, like, if I, there's kind of a number of things this thing does depending. Yeah, I do the most basic things, right? The benchmarks and the liquidity pools are the most basic things that any user can do, and it works for it. You can throw it on pretty much anything, right? You put it on the NQ, put your liquidity on, taps into it, off it goes again, follow it up, do it again, put it in. You might get a tap on, take it over to the most recent high. If you've got a new high, just keep following it along. When it taps into it, you know, you get a push off of it. So that's the most basic thing that it does. But it also does, so I haven't scaled this properly, but it also does trend lines. It predicts the trend lines of when you come down and back to it that you can short off of. And these off of bigger swings are timing bars. They actually give you the correct timing for a swing. So I normally work off of a 2-hour chart when I'm doing timing. The whole thing, by the way, looks like this if you haven't seen it. So if you utilized everything that this tool does, this becomes, I don't know. It's the reason that the market turns against you every time you get in a trade. Put it that way. So it's the kind of algorithm in a visual format. But it predicts. So let me show you on the Nasdaq 2-hour what I've got, for example. So these are the timing bars that occur from pulling a swing, and it predicts the timing bars out like this, as I showed you. And you can see they don't always predict a low or a high, but they either predict a low and a high, or lifetime means you get it forever. It's not a subscription. It's either a low and a high, and or timing of momentum, right? So you could just be going sideways and then it's the right time to get in a trade. So for example, I would have had that on my chart from so this line would have been on my chart from this point in time. So there's one back here, right? So this one just off, but it's what I'm doing here is cutting the benchmarks. I'm drawing the benchmarks and the liquidity pools. And here, see, I've come into a benchmark there. Well, if I come into a benchmark here, that's not the time I'm going to buy. I'm going to buy after or after I've seen this vertical line. So that's what I kind of do. If I'm in a benchmark or I'm in a buy or sell side liquidity pool and I hit the timing bar, then all good. So similar thing here. If I'm taking the low and I'm taking the high and I have a buy side liquidity pool, which I would just draw in right over this one, bring it down. If I want to get in that trade, you can look in, there was a tap into it there. Was that the right one? There was a tap into it here. Is that the right one? This is the right time to get into it. And if you trade NQ futures, you know that every candle counts, right? It's one of these bars is $500 against you. If you're in a futures prop firm, you won't want to let it go $500 against you necessarily if you're max loss, but a candle like this is $1,000 on one contract, so that's the difference. So I'm looking for the buy side. I wait for the timing line to come in, and then it's off to the races. And similar thing here. I'm taking the level low from the last buy pool, taking it up to the high. Look at that. It's like you just get a bull 180 reversal on this red to green. There's the timing bar. I should get a push off of that. I'll go to my target, which is on the other side, and there's the sales. Now I don't have a timing bar on that one, so I don't pick every swing. I pick the major swings, so it picks out the major levels. But look at this from last night on the 2 hour. Seriously, look at that. I had a double timing bar on this, and the FOMC coming. And I didn't even think. All I was really thinking was this non-farm payroll today. And I was thinking, I would have much rather those two bars come in at the same time tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? If it was 24 hours later, then I'm like, well, that's non-farm. That's brilliant. Let's do it then. Didn't even, I knew the FOMC was on, but they've been speaking for the best part of the last 2 weeks. So, yeah, I was just thinking, well, that, what's that going to do? And then, obviously, it become very, very apparent that during that 2 hours was the time to get short. That was the start of it. That blue line was the start of it, and this blue line was the end of it. It was crazy. If you look at it on a 5 minute, look, or anything, 2 minutes even. The 2 minutes there, look at that. There's my moving. That is what I mean by when these moving averages hold momentum. You can do any green to red play you like on this. When it gets like that, when the timing is right, there's the timing bar. Look, start, finish. Obviously, on the 2 hours, this lasts 2 hours. This is the start of it. It lasts 2 hours. And literally, it was at 2 o'clock till 4 o'clock. So it literally did last 2 hours as well. So it was that. Yeah, it was the best example I could give yesterday. The next one I've got coming up. There is one on here, I think. Yeah, next one I've got coming up is. Doesn't it give me? Let's put it on the 2 hour. It'll give me the correct slot, hopefully. Yeah, you can see how these work out for me on the Nasdaq then. One there, one buy here, one buy there. So there's an example of a buy on the break, right? So this has come into sell side liquidity pool and I would have taken that short without a doubt because it was a bear 180 just reversed on green to red, but waiting for the thing, it then appears no, sell side liquidity breaks. And whether you've got a timing bar or not, if sell side liquidity breaks, it breaks. That's what I say. The momentum comes in. Doesn't matter whether it's stock, futures, crypto, whatever. It's all good. So where's my little arrow finish here? Right. So yeah. So for example, I've got my little arrows on here just telling me what's what. So this line here on Wednesday the 10th at 8 a.m. One sec. What's the time now in New York? 8:30? Yeah, okay. So 8 a.m. EST. Wednesday the 10th at 8 a.m. EST. That was driven by this low to that high with the dot there. So this little arrow is telling me where I drew it with the tool. And yeah, it's basically saying that move. So this little, that high to that low, right? That high to that low, or this low to that high, I should say, is what predicts forward to say, well, the algo is going to kick in at that time on Wednesday at 8 a.m. on the 24th. And it's going to be at 4 a.m. on the 9th. So, yeah, that's... yeah, there's a lot gone into this than other than what... Yeah, I just can't... There's no way I can explain it all. So that's the thing that you got. You can buy the tool. You can watch the YouTubes I'm doing. You can follow along with it. You can look at it yourself. But I need to concentrate on a proper well, I've got the course. It's mingling the course and the strategies, right? I want to tell you what to do on NQ. I want to tell you what to do on FX. I want to tell you what to do on small caps. I want to tell you what to do on big caps with it, because there's all different utilization of the tool that you can use. So yeah, the timing bars are an absolute gem. Which do work on the smaller time frames as well, but to a lesser extent. So, yeah, it's quite a nice aspect to that tool. So it looks like the Nasdaq's just come off here. Look, what time we got? At 1:30. We've got some non-farm payrolls going out today, right? Gee, I come on for half hour, didn't I? I come on for half hour. How long have I been on? I come on to do a bit of early bird pre-market, and NFP's just gone out. Right, 1 second. I want the economic calendar. Market economics. Previous was 270. Consensus was 200. It coming at 303. It's funny because that's good. I was going to say that's good. That is good. What we've done there is tested the low from yesterday. So that drop on the 1 minute there is going to potentially get a reversal. Where's my Topstep account? So I'm a funded trader on Topstep. Got 3 accounts with Topstep. That's the most you can have with Topstep. So where is my... We'll see what we've got on Topstep here. I'd bring my, let me see if I can bring this in. I'd bring the account over, but it's got the account numbers on it, which I'm not allowed to show. Don't know if I can play with that on OBS to cut the top off, can I, for a quick minute? I need to do something like that, I think, for you. So on Topstep, yeah, that's funny because what was I on the 32nd I drew this, because this is a timing bar. But I can't remember what time frame I drew it on. So don't have 2 hours on here, so would it have been the 1 hour? 30 minutes? Might have been the 1 hour or the 30 minute. Oh, I'm a little bit off. Look, I'm 1 30-minute bar off, unless I did draw it on the hourly. So, yeah, some momentum kicking in at this time on the non-farm payrolls, which is a good number, but is, you know, sees that initial drop on the NASDAQ. So we'll see how everything else on that works out. Not something I'm going to trade on stream, I don't think. Well, I know we've got some streamers that love doing but for me it takes 100% concentration to trade the NQ at least. But what I do like, I tell you, if you do like to trade futures, is the Russell. The Russell, I can tell you, if you do the NASDAQ and it whips against you $500 in an instant, you can trade the Russell, which is a much more forgiving stock. So ignoring kind of yesterday. So as an example, you didn't get this opportunity in the NQ yesterday to try and go, oh my God, it's going. And then you didn't get that opportunity, and you get that a lot. So the big push, then you get an opportunity to digest what's going on, and it goes again. Whereas the Nasdaq just generally rips and rips, or then pulls back and then rips. It's very cut. So this on the Nasdaq would have been a pullback where it would have taken you out. Whereas on the Russell, you just get left to the trade. It's just kind of does that a lot. So it's really quite nice. It gives you that little break to work out what's going on before it actually happens. But the same thing kind of generally works on whatever the product is. So this one I wouldn't have got. So I would have gone in for the smaller swing there and caught that one. And I just follow them along. All these at the top. If you're doing intraday stuff, just do it on a higher time frame. You can do it on the low time frame, but when you pull back into each of these, nice little confirmation of shorts, then obviously there'll be the right time to do it, which is quite nice. Let's get this back on. Put my OBS template back to what it was. But yeah, I don't know if you guys like futures or whatever. I generally concentrate on stocks and trade the futures off myself. Yep, that's it, Tiny. It's a lot, and it's always there, right? It's the momentum isn't always there, but generally there's always a trade on it every day. It's a lot. You have to do a lot of work on the small caps or on the stock side. Whereas if you're trading a future, yep, you zoom in on one, whether it be crude oil, which I would suggest over NQ, and the Russell as well, and gold. But yeah, and then you could just zoom in on one of those, concentrate on one of those, and that can be your go-to, and then the stocks alongside. But yeah, they're more volatile. You know, there's more leverage in it, which means obviously this kind of thing, when this happens, you're probably, that potential there on one contract is. Let me work it out and see what that move yesterday was. I mean, it's going to be huge. It was from, let's say, the break of that buy side liquidity pool at 18,486 minus. Let's just take the first push where it got a bit woolly there, little pullback to 18,396. I messed that up, didn't I? So it's 96 points times 4, 384 times 5. Yeah, so that is that move from here to here, just holding on underneath these stair steppers there when that occurred, was $1,920 if you covered on this green bar close. And if we went, I mean, this was such an easy hold. If you like to hold on the 2 minutes, it's just beautiful. All the way down, and yeah, I guess the close here above that close above those moving averages around there, about 18,122. It's 365 points, or handles as they call it. 365 points, 4 ticks in a point, multiplied by 5. Yeah, on one contract that's 7,300 on one contract, and on my account I can trade. You can trade up to 4. So yeah, not that I advise you do, because obviously I advise 1 because it's enough. It is enough. All right. So there's the non-farm payroll. Let's just come back to what effect that had. Okay, yeah. So that is a push down and pull up. Now look, I have to do what I always do, unfortunately, which is drop the NQ down to a 10-minute because that's how I draw my levels from the previous day. But it's going to be huge. Right, sell side. Yeah, so the sell side is up there. So if non-farm payroll is going to push all the way up there, I mean, crazy. Again, if I was going to cut some spread down the bottom here, it would be a breakout of here, benchmark up to 820. So I'm going to look out for that. I'm going to look out for a benchmark there. Eek. And benchmark 2. Oops, benchmark 2 is also up there where the liquidity pool is, so I'm not going to bother drawing it in. A benchmark 2 is up there. So we'll see where we get to on that today. But yeah, hopefully there is some action today, although it might be a little bit of a not so volatile NFP day after the initial push. But we'll see. It could come all the way back. All right, so what have we got else? So yeah, I think that's it for today. Let's have a quick. I'm just going to do a quick check of the stocks where I left you with the main ones today. MDIA. MDIA is working out of its buy side liquidity pool. Who have we got on the rest of? Who have we got on the rest of the channel at the moment? Let's have a quick look. So AK's up, Deck's up. Okay, so it's just me, AK, and Deck at the moment. And oh, that's nice. Deck's already got 1,000 people in there watching his show. That's all right. I've got 24. But I appreciate you all. Don't you worry about that. But I know you're watching both of us at the same time. All right, MDIA. Touching into the bottom side of its liquidity pool, it now has its sell side liquidity pool on MDIA. I don't know why I didn't draw that in before, probably because I hadn't got to this low. It is up there at 360. 350 is the low. Sell side liquidity pool there. And what else? HEBC. So HEBC, see, look, it's pushing its way out of its... This is the one I think could have legs today. If it breaks 158, let's put a little alert on HUBC. This is the one I like. I prefer a pullback to 140s, but if it breaks, there's a momentum play. Basically, above the 5 EMA moving average, you can put a... If you start to push above 160, like on volume increasing, you can buy... If you get a little red bar and the next one's a green one and it takes it out, then you can get in. Just like this. Just like that. That's the one. When this green bar takes out that red bar, you can jump in. That's a momentum play. But be careful. You risk the fact that it can break up and come back to the buy side liquidity pool. So, yeah. Sometimes you don't get the chance, right? So yeah, HEBC, ZPTA, or another one is also working out of its buy side. Why can't I grab that? Okay. So working out of its buy side, initially it's got to break 377 to go any higher. It does have higher to go if it wants to. Cattle, sell side's holding again. Look, so that one failed. This one held. The liquidity switch on has just tested it as well at 8 on the hour, and it's coming back. So where is this last one that we have drawn in? Are we breaking that? Yeah, pretty much. I'm going to bring this previous one down and make it the new one. Okay, so there's a buy side liquidity pool. Remember, we can come all the way down to 650 and dip out this bottom before we do anything. But still, the key number to break here is 940 to stay above it for new highs. That could go supernova because this is a benchmark 2. If not, and this is backside, just continue to short. You've got like literally these pools are giving you now a channel, right? These pools are giving you your channel. Okay, so you can short pops. Use the channel if you haven't got the tool, so use them. Because this is the first definition of the so you've just registered in terms of the club and in terms of everything else that's going on right on there, I think, because that registration page was for when the tool wasn't available. The tool is now available, but obviously it's only on, is it? Let me check. Where are we? So we're sorting out these alerts. That's going to be a Discord. They're going to be the early birds, so kind of earlier than what I was doing today. So as soon as they pop on my scanner, they're going out and they'll be in the Discord. The LiquiVision will be a kind of mentorship, and that's what I'll probably be using alongside the strategies. So there'll be also kind of access to in the Discord. You can get a one-on-one with me if there's anything you're not sure about. And at the moment, that's what's available. So annually and lifetime, where the lifetime is currently the same price as the annual, and this comes with 3 of these. With 3 of these at the moment. So yeah, if you buy the lifetime, that means you don't have to ever subscribe to it again. Instead of the usual price, it's the same price as annual, and you get 3 sessions with me. You tell me what you trade, and I will let you know how to use it on those mini mentor sessions. Now, the Discord needs to throw out a new link. It runs out after a week, I believe. And yeah, I'm in the middle of building 2 communities, and I can only build 1 at the moment. So we're just working things out. So yeah, I don't want any conflict of interest really with the partners I've got going on at the moment. So I'm just holding off on the Discord a little bit. But I will get the morning alerts out on Discord, and yeah, that will mean I wouldn't be able to do them elsewhere, right? So I've just I will set that up. I'll ping you the link over. If you've registered, I'll get that email, and you can you just have a Zoom with me basically, or you can come in a private Discord and we get it done. If you let me know what you want to trade, and then we use the tool to give you your best opportunities that you can find. All right, so thanks for coming along. Who have I got a shout out to? What do we got? Obviously Tiny T, Lion. Thanks for coming along as well. Where's my Tradecaster, guys? Where are you? Lost my Tradecaster, guys. There you are. All right, who we got here then? Yeah, Joe Mar, Rich, Rubio. Hello, Taquito. He's on his mobile. Bags, High-Minded Low Life, and Voice for him. Thanks for coming along. Appreciate it. I will be back on Monday. I'll see you all then. I'll be doing an early bird and a trade the pool live stream as well. So I'll catch you all then. That was the longest quick half hour I've done in pre-market in a long time. All right, guys. Cheers. I'll see you later. Bye.